a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if our person combines the roles of our chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to gain international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform and educate our numerous viewers on the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Join the Corporate Governance Platform crew every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on MITV, your talent station, via DSTV 255 and UHF 43.
Corporate Governance Platform, your strategy for the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
Corporate Governance Platform, a program.
It's a beautiful Thursday in the city of Lagos. I'm glad to welcome you to Corporate Governance Platform, coming to you live from MITV. I am your regular host, Tunde Odeyemi. And in today's episode, we are going to look at relevance of induction programs for directors. And I have my guest in the studio. My guest is Mrs. ABIOLA LASEINDE. Mrs. ABIOLA LASEINDE is a lawyer, chartered secretary, administrator, arbitrator, and a corporate governance professional with over 20 years experience garnered from different industries in Nigeria with a stint in Dubai in UAE. She is an outgoing, conscientious, relationship-oriented, and passionate professional with experience and expertise in corporate governance, legal advisory, sustainability, and corporate strategy. She was the group company secretary, head of corporate services of PZ Cousins, Africa, where she had responsibilities for the Nigeria, Kenya, and Ghana corporate services units of the company. She was also the executive secretary of PZ Cousins Foundation. Mrs. ABIOLA LASEINDE is a fellow and council member of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, and currently she serves as the chair of the corporate members and training committees of the Institute. She is a past chair of the Lagos State chapter of the Institute. She is also a member of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators UK, Nigerian branch, Nigerian Bar Association, the International Federation of Women Lawyers, and the UK Institute of Leadership and Management. ABIOLA has delivered over 60 presentations in 4 countries in the last 10 years on a range of topics, including strategic leadership, emotional intelligence, future of work, enterprise governance, corporate secretaryship, risk management, compliance, stakeholders management, sustainability, and corporate social responsibility. Mrs. ABIOLA LASEINDE, you are welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for finding time to join us on Corporate Governance Platform.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
This is your first time of coming to this program, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, let's go straight to the discussion for the day.
Absolutely.
We are talking about the relevance of induction programs for directors, right? And I would like to start by asking, what does the term induction of directors connote?
Induction simply means a process of onboarding a new hire, a new employee, and in the context of directors, is the process of onboarding them to understand the people, the process, the products, and all the ancillary activities of the company. So it's a critical process that should never be taken for granted or totally ignored. So induction is onboarding.
Okay, induction is onboarding, making them to know more about the company.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, why does the code, the corporate governance code, recommends that the induction of the new directors should take place as soon as feasible after their appointment? Why does the code recommend that?
The Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance has become, our Bible in code, in activities relating to governance. Now, the topic induction is so important,
Okay.
and is really highly recognized by the code, because the directors are those who are charged with governance of the company. They are those who will be held liable if anything were to go wrong. So
Okay.
if they are not properly onboarded, if the directors are not properly inducted into the people, the process, the product of the company, then they will struggle. So it is a starting point for the directors to be able to govern well and
Okay.
hold the responsibility of being charged with governance, and providing strategic direction for the company. So it's an important process that is highly recommended by the code.
So as soon as the director is appointed, the next thing is to do the induction.
Absolutely.
Okay, apart from the fact that the induction of directors is required by the code, what are the inherent benefits in the induction program for the directors?
When any of us, just take an ordinary employee, let's even, pack the directors aside.
Okay.
When you are getting into a new environment where there are expectations from you, you're not just adding to the numbers, but there are expectations, there are deliverables, right? The minimum that organization or the institution should do is to help you settle fast.
Okay.
And how do you settle fast if you don't even understand, for instance, the product, the process, the strategic direction, the culture, the look and the feel of the company? If you don't do all of this, if you are not given the opportunity for you to have very good knowledge of all of it, you're going to struggle. So the benefits of induction can never be overemphasized. So for the directors, right, their own induction is usually high level. What I mean by high level is that, you probably not take them, walk them through the factory floor,
Okay.
or some other things that even from their wealth of experience they might have known. But in order for them to understand how to key in and even begin to become responsible for the strategic direction of the company, there are certain things that you can't take out of the induction process. So you look at high level topics for them. For instance, bringing the departments, the head of departments to do presentation on the strategic focus of each unit.
Okay.
Bringing people like the marketing executives for them to demonstrate how even the director's support can help them push and drive the agenda faster.
Okay.
It's different from when you're bringing in maybe a graduate trainee who will need to still understand, some rudiments. But directors have already pivoted. They are coming with wealth of experience. And the capacity to understand all those heavier stuff that will help with both the bottom line and the top line of the company's
Okay, since it's a provision of the code,
yes.
Is it a compliance issue?
The code is apply and explain.
Okay.
And the code is mandatory because the FRC, the Financial Reporting Council, expect our regulators to check and monitor compliance. So I would say that it is a compliance issue. It's not just a nice to have,
Okay.
because it's apply and
Explain.
Some companies can decide that, look, I may not be able to apply and I can explain, I can choose to explain why I can't. But if we look at it critically, at the end of the day, is it adding to your company, your organization, because of the value the directors will bring, or is it taking away? So the benefits are enormous. So I would say that besides being a compliance issue, it is a governance issue that everyone should reckon with, should embrace and own.
Okay, apart from the, how is induction of the directors different from the continuous education of the directors?
Induction is a one-off.
Okay.
And that is the foundation of what you'll be building on during the training, the continuous education, and all of that. So there are two separate topics. But I must quickly say here that your induction, you can't compromise that. You can't wish it away because it's going to bite. You can imagine a director that got appointed and then started working from day one, attending board meetings. He's going to struggle.
Okay.
In the boardroom, he's going to struggle. It's a known fact for him to contribute to meaningful discussion during the board meeting. So it's not something that you should take away. It's a foundational pillar of building on every other thing within, the corporate governance network. So it is important. But training, you can almost get away with it, you know. But induction, please, is not something that we should just ignore or, give total disregard to.
Okay, I would like to read a provision of the code.
Okay.
The code provides that all directors should participate in periodic, relevant, continuing education programs to update their knowledge and skills and keep them informed of new developments in the company's business and operating environment. What's the significance of this particular provision?
That's another fantastic recommendation of the code. And this is born out of the desire, right, to strengthen the governance of any institution. The truth is that directors cannot give what they don't have.
Sure.
Look at how we've had to adjust to this new normal and all the implications. I will talk about IT governance, for instance.
Okay.
Now, suddenly everything is driven virtually, right? We've had to invest, most of our organizations, we've had to invest heavily in IT and data management, end to end, because now people are working more from home. Imagine if a company or the management or the driver of this process, the company secretary or the corporate secretary, is not putting some training around IT governance for the director. Director will just be seeing the number, investment going up. They don't understand what it means that now that we have to pivot suddenly, and IT has become the fulcrum, the center of our world, the investment should go into that. A smart company secretary will already be thinking of, how can I get some high-level training on IT governance to equip my directors to understand what they should be looking for when the IT report is being presented, when the managing director is talking about all the laudable initiatives and the heavy investment in IT, because we need to now double up on our security because people have moved, from the office, working from home. They have the companies, you need to build firewall around such, and there's so many things going into that. If our directors, even to maybe 1-2 years ago, that they are not even used to Zoom, they are not even like IT literate in the real, conference, how will you not get them to come up to speed? That's a classical example of how you need to keep them informed. You need to keep training them. There's so many new trends, look at the Finance Act. Some directors will struggle to even know the implication.
Wow.
The fastest and easiest thing to get their support and help them to begin to help the company, add value to whatever discussion they're going to be having at the board is to quickly organize, some high-profile training where this can be simplified, where the implications can be clearly articulated. So continuous development, continuous training is required, and the code recognizes that, and it's a big recommendation.
Oh, that's a very good provision. The IT governance that you mentioned probably also underscores the fact that board of directors meeting can be held virtually.
Absolutely.
Can be.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In fact, that's the new normal. In the last 1 year, most organizations have not had any physical meeting. Our directors are even of that age, the vulnerable age.
Sure.
So you cannot subject them to coming to any physical meeting. So the point is that they need to understand where the money is, be able to track it, and understand the strategic focus. That's just an example of what the IT, the new IT governance framework will look like.
Okay, what's the link between board evaluation and development of appropriate training for the board members?
Well, board evaluation is simply the performance appraisal of the directors. It's helping them to identify gaps in the areas where they're supposed to discharge their obligations and own responsibilities. And it's a recommendation as well. It's something that every company should embrace, because if you do not develop the directors, or if you do not rather measure their performance, you cannot attribute anything to them. So board evaluation will help identify areas where you can help the directors to fill the gaps or close the gaps rather.
Okay.
So they are linked.
To training.
To training. So you identify those areas, and the company secretary usually is that person that is charged with this as a governance professional, to observe, to take note and discuss with management that, oh, we noticed that Mr. Isibo, when we're talking about the financial statements, it's almost like he's dozing, in confidence. And maybe just pushing him to do some training on fundamentals of, management accounts or financial accounting will help him and he'll be able to contribute. It is an exercise that at the end of the day is a win-win.
Okay.
You've added to the directors. The directors come back to add value
to the organization.
Because now they know better. And the truth is that for us, generally as human beings, it's something that we should keep looking forward to. Getting constructive criticism, getting institutions to point out areas where they can be better. And then going for the trainings that will help us close the gaps. Because forever we will always have that. There's no perfect situation or perfect situation.
Okay, thank you very much. We will still come to the issue of board evaluation, but we need to quickly go on a short break. We are discussing relevance of induction programs for directors with Mrs. ABIOLA LASEINDE. We'll go for a very short break. Please, when we come back, we continue with the discussion. Please don't go away.
Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if our person combines the roles of our chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to get international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform and educate our numerous viewers on the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Join the Corporate Governance Platform crew every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on MITV, your talent station, via DSTV 255 and UHF 43.
Corporate Governance Platform, your strategy for the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way,
you are welcome back. We are still discussing induction of directors, and I still have right with me in the studio Mrs. ABIOLA LASEINDE, giving it out to us step by step. Mrs. LASEINDE, I'd like to ask this question. You have spoken extensively about the benefits of inducting new directors and how the Code of Corporate Governance also strengthens this. Now, will you say induction of directors is also necessary for small or companies struggling financially? Is it necessary?
It is an absolute necessity for small companies and even companies struggling financially Now, small companies are within that category of small, medium, enterprises, scale enterprises, and they are really the one that the message of governance should be more focused and directed on. I'm saying this because most of our big corporates today started small.
Okay.
Most of them, 80% to 90% of the multinationals that we are privileged to serve and work with, they started. I imagine we can't be starting from someone's kitchen, and it's been built over the years with governance structure. So going specifically to your questions, the small companies, firstly, they need to be enlightened to see that, look, a company is not built around the owners.
Okay.
A company should be allowed to be an enterprise, an entity on its own. So therefore, the structures that the big corporates are using should also be deployed, such that a small company today should aspire to be a big company tomorrow. I don't know if you're following.
I'm getting it.
So definitely everything that makes a big company look good, a small company should desire.
Okay, go ahead. The issue with the small companies are, many of the small companies, it's like they are struggling financially. They have a lot of cost control measures. Most of the times they complain about payment of salaries. And you are now adding induction of new directors, knowing fully well that when the new directors meet, there is sitting allowance and the rest. You are now adding extra cost of induction. That's why I'm asking that question. is it necessary for small companies to still go ahead, despite the fact that they are struggling with so many?
It is, and you need to look at the cost-benefit analysis. Number one, induction is not an expensive process.
Okay.
If it's a small company, you can tailor your budget to have a good comprehensive induction internally. All you need to do is to ensure that your people within the corporate services team or anyone acting with that label is empowered to do everything required to have a robust induction system. And remember, induction is the foundation. You can always build on it. As the company's fortune grow, you can always build on where you have started. But the rudiment, the foundational knowledge and things that the directors need to know, you can incorporate into that initial induction process. So I can tell you for free that even companies struggling financially, if you were to unveil and look at what led them to how, where they are, you discover that they probably thought governance was expensive and ignored it.
Okay.
We're talking to some clients, early last year, just before COVID knocked everybody down. They're like, we don't do governance because it's very expensive. And look at what happened to a lot of companies, small companies, by the end of last year. Some didn't recover from COVID. But can you imagine if companies have institutionalized governance principles as little as putting in a board, as little as having some form of framework for business continuity. These are all governance pillars. As little as having a risk management framework, what somebody is just intentional about, and it does not cost you anything but to just look for people within the organization, tax them, go and look at your peers, go and do research on what it will keep company XYZ running if Boko Haram was to throw a bomb, for instance. People in the organization, because we have very fantastic talents, they will come up with a prediction paper to say, oh, yeah, management, this is what we can do, 1, 2, 3. So going back to your question specifically, it is not an expensive venture. And companies would rather look at what you will lose, the cost-benefit analysis, and embrace it. Ignorance is very, very expensive. Ignoring these principles will cost you more. Some companies, like with the COVID, have not come out of it because they just refuse to put those structures that would have made the company stand. The company was me, ABIOLA, LASEINDE and Co. Is also, ABIOLA. ABIOLA is ABIOLA, LASEINDE and Co. ABIOLA, ABIOLA, LASEINDE and Co. is ABIOLA. So there's no distinction. So once I sneeze, that's the end of the company.
Wow.
My neighbor at home, we lost him about a month ago due to COVID. His company is closed within less than 1 month.
Wow.
Salary cannot even be paid. So that is it. Imagine if you had a board, a small board, advisory board, people that can just help him just pick up the company and start running. That's governance. Holding other people accountable, being accountable to other people, putting some responsibility on them to help you look and nurture after your baby.
Wow.
So it is
not necessarily bringing in money to the organization, but bringing in expertise.
Absolutely. A lot of directors, if you label them as directors, they will do it for free. Because, number one, they are looking at the future of that company. They are seeing things that even you haven't identified through the lenses of governance.
Wow.
So they will give their all. I'm part of I work with a client that pays a director, a VP in a bank, 250,000 as director's fee for a year. That director's earn 10,000 naira as sitting allowance. And for some time, he feels embarrassed that I'm still taking from this company. But the wealth of experience, because I sit at the board meeting, I take a year, and I'm like, wow, this guy is actually worth 2.5 million. But the company is paying him 250, and it's feeling really like, I wish I could just, but because it's statutory, he collects it.
Wow. Okay, let's go back to training.
Okay.
The Code of Corporate Governance provides that training programs should be at the company's expense. We are talking about expense. Training programs should be at the company's expense, but should not be such that puts undue strain on the company's finances. Now, what would be the guiding principles in attaining equilibrium between these two ends?
Number one, I agree with that principle. I agree with the recommendation that there should be a balance.
Okay.
It should not be an unduly expensive project to keep training your director. In fact, you know what I enjoy about this director's training? The truth is that most of your directors are eminently qualified to even be your resource persons for the training you want to introduce to them. So you make their training highly relevant, high profile, So if I'm doing my director's training and I do it just once, I know that one time could be like a 2-3 day, and I load it up such that the directors themselves, they will leave completely refreshed, completely engaged, and ready to do more. So there's a strategy to it. If my budget, if I'm to spread it over, maybe the whole year, 4 quarters or periodically, and I just decide to do just one, and I go, because it's just one, I would have been planning it like 3-4 months, and I go to the institutions I want to use, and you negotiate, and you hold that institution, this is a partnership. I'm coming this year, I'll probably come next year. Negotiating skills to ensure that it fits into your budget.
Wow.
Then you can sell it, the value proposition in that to your organization, to your management, to your MD. And the directors will also go, be refreshed. It will be models like action learning, case studies, life scenarios, real life scenarios and things that they can relate with. That it will even show them that, okay, so this is what I should have done when we're having the discussion during the board meeting. And they go back completely refreshed. You cannot compromise that.
So you've been able to balance the two issues. Absolutely. There is training and there is no strain on the finances of the company. Now, take this as the last question. Corporate governance evaluation, I told you we'll come back to it. Corporate governance evaluation and board evaluation are two key areas that are becoming more and more popular in corporate governance platform. Yeah. You are a member of ICSAN. Mm-hmm. Now, what is the institute? What role can the institute play in relation to building the capacity for corporate organizations and interested individuals in these two subjects?
The truth is that the institute, ICSAN, the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, we already launched the platform for capacity building for both members and non-members. So we've taken that challenge on us to say, look, if this is going to be done, the governance professionals who are certified, who have gone through the examination process, who have gone through the training process, who have come out, like subject matter experts should be able to do it. So we have launched the capacity building training programs for board evaluation and corporate governance evaluation. And in fact, the first set we did, we had a fantastic turnout.
Okay. Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if our person combines the roles of our chairman and our chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to gain international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more